Media Podcast. It's a podcast where we talk about a smorgasbord of media talk. We have all kinds of stuff going on here. We've had DJs, we've had videographers, and today I have two of my favorite photographers to work with here on the podcast. Let's bring me to my guests. My guests are Sydney and Haley. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, here's my little spiel on you guys need to know this. I have known these two and worked with these two longer than anyone in my professional journey. Number one, because Haley is my sister, and I may or may not be the origin story of her photography journey. And then Sydney and I have been working together. I mean, we've known each other since like middle school. Yeah, which is like a long time. Then as you got through high school, you picked up a camera, started that process as well. And then since then, I think my role in their career has been reduced to tech support. I am now just the person who answers the phone when they can't figure something out.
We have
immediately get
but
a phone
I need
call.
you.
We've discovered ChatGPTs actually.
Oh, it's so
a lot
good.
haven't
less
really
now.
called
Thank you.
much.
They rely. Yes,
Yeah.
the AI has taken my job. That's what it is. AI is taking my job. I'm not their tech support. No, I mean, like, that's what I feel like is when I hear from you the most, like, is either one of you is when you call me and go, so I'm looking at my camera. How do I? And that's been
The bride's
like,
about to walk down the aisle.
yeah, oh my
There's
God.
a camera setting. I
The
can't
ceremony
figure
starts
it
in
out.
3 minutes and my camera's overheated.
No,
What
for
do I
me,
do?
it's- my hard drive just busted, and
That
I
is-
need all
yeah.
my photos.
Yep, hard drive broken.
But
that
you
type of
weren't
thing.
able to figure out a solution, so.
Well, we did our best. I'm not magic, okay? I can't do everything. No, but like, so we've been working together a long time. Haley, you started photography in 2018.
Yep. It was
January?
It was February of 2018.
February of 2018.
And I had no idea I had no interest in photography. I started that day and then I never stopped.
Yeah, so Haley and I were on the phone talking about, like, she had expressed an interest in photography. I went, hey, I'm doing a video shoot. I need a photo shooter. Just come with me. I grabbed a camera, stuck it in your hand, and it just never left.
I have a more detailed version of that story, but
Yeah, well, there was a
Should I
lot
share
going
it?
on in that story. Let's go there for now. Sid,
Okay.
how long have you been doing photography?
2017, August of 2017.
August of 2017. Okay,
Yeah,
what was
yeah.
your inspiration that got you into photography? Like, what
So-
caused the beginning of that?
I was homeschooled growing up. And
As were we all.
Yeah, right. Went to a career center and originally thought I was going to do their fitness and wellness program and didn't get into that. So my secondary choice was photography, just as an excuse to get out of the house.
Amazing.
And within,
wait,
like,
you
2
didn't actually have an
weeks-
interest in it?
Not really. I mean, I had my 4th gen iPod growing up, and
Mm.
I'd make mom stop at traffic lights literally for me to go run across the street
Take pictures.
to take pictures of flowers.
you had an interest,
But,
you
like,
just didn't realize it.
Yeah, I guess so. I
Because
just
I did
never
that
really
too.
thought they
I
would
would
actually
take
be a
pictures
thing.
of my eye and my shoe.
Yeah, but
growing
like that
up.
was
your
like
phone,
our
yeah.
generation was
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, that's what Instagram was created for, was all of those, I can take pictures on my phone and put a little filter on it. So
Right.
like, that's what we all started doing, and then
No, I needed a camera for the class, and my aunt had just some, what was it, a Canon T7i
What did you have? Is that the one you had when I
something.
met you?
Guarantee it was
Yeah.
less
You
than like
still
a
have
7.
that one when I
No,
met
it
you?
was a
You
7.
you bought a 7i off of me. So it
Oh,
had
so
to have been
you
a
bought
further.
off of you?
You bought that 7i off
Oh,
of
then
me.
it was like a 5, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna
Really?
say it was definitely an
And
old
you
generation.
upgraded with
And
that
then I
one.
got the 7,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
'Cause
then
Haley and I
like
both had
2
7
weeks
eyes.
into it, I was
I had
like, you know,
I
I'm
had
gonna
the
do it.
7i for 2 weeks before I realized it wasn't what I wanted, and then I went and
that
got
thing was
another Canon
Junk.
We had a 6D
something.
Mark II or 6D.
60.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't even. They didn't even come out yet. It was like a Mark.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it was a
Okay,
60,
and then
Canon 60.
and then you and Mike convinced
to
me
go
after
get-
1 week of having that camera that I needed to be one of the first people that realized
to get on a Sony
that,
mirrorless.
to do the Sony A7
Yeah,
III.
and you were one of the first people to
and it
You were
had
certainly-
just
get
come
the
out.
mirrorless.
And I mean this with all
Yeah.
sincerity because I checked.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, you are the first female photographer to have a Sony A7 III in the state of Ohio.
I know I was because I got lucky. I think the shop that I got it from had just stumbled upon it that day, or they had it in their possession, and I called and got it at the exact right time.
I wanted one a couple days after you.
Yeah.
They had none. I had to get
Yeah.
one from Europe. I
Yeah.
had to literally get a European A7 III, and I know it because the camera settings were set for European codec standards, so like they were set up like that. And every time I fired my camera up, it was like, you know, you're shooting an
No,
NTSC,
'cause
right? It was
you
literally.
and Mike wanted one, and then I went and somehow I'm like, okay, and I
You
got
just
my
started
hands on
calling.
one, And then I had to convince all of my other female photographer friends, hey, by the way, Sony's changing the game, and they were in denial for a long time.
I
and
was too, if I'm
like,
being honest. I really was.
Oh,
yeah.
why'd you
I was
let me
like
do it?
content with the Canon, but also I wasn't really doing anything then either.
Yeah.
I was just in class and like
Right.
shooting random things. But then when I literally shot my first wedding, I was like, I can't do this thing.
And
then the three of us
Yeah.
shot one together.
I think you
You
got
just
the
came
itch.
spur of the moment.
Yeah.
And really, it was like, if I'm going to be shooting with these two people, I might as well just get the same camera.
Yeah.
I wonder if I
And
should just
then-
insert a BTS clip from that wedding.
Do you
here.
have
Dude,
it?
yeah, when we're
dude.
walking back down the
We're walking
aisle.
down
with
I had the
three of us.
360 cam off the side of my
Wait,
camera.
had your GoPro
did you
on.
not have?
Yeah, my Insta360.
No, you
cam
had
was
your
Oh
going.
my
second
gosh, that's
body.
right. I lent. This is what it was. I lent Sydney my second because I went back and got another A7 III. I lent it to you for that wedding, and you were hooked. I don't think you were able to go back after that.
No, that was literally when I was like,
You were
I
like,
need
Haley,
this
do I
camera.
do this?
Yeah.
I was like, if I'm ever going to convince you, I think I've done it to you like 3 different times now. I think it was the camera, the strap, and the lens.
Yep, and
I was like,
now-
if I'm ever going to convince, and the laptop.
And the laptop.
getting
and
a
the
new MacBook,
laptop.
yeah.
I'm
editing
more on the
table.
convincing side of doing things more behind the scenes. You're more like,
She's
here's
like,
the gear you
she's
need
like,
to get,
you
and
need a
I'm like, you need to
website,
do this
a
for your
questionnaire.
clients. And
You need to do, this booklet, and I'm like, you need to have something to edit on.
Yeah. Well, that's
on
so
the client experience part, you're the
collectively
you
we
need to
all
have
kind of
that so
technology.
that your client experience doesn't fail.
yeah, we all collectively have kind of just like learned and grown off each other a lot in the photo sphere. I think like genuinely, I think I've shot more with the two of you than I have most anybody else.
At this point,
Yeah.
I have shot more with Sydney than I've shot with anybody
But here's
else.
the thing: it wasn't until last year when I was pregnant
Yeah.
that I was like, Haley, I need a second shooter
Yeah.
in case I go into labor, and 2, I can't pursue these weddings because it's the last month.
Yeah.
And
And
at the
so-
beginning of the year, I had decided I think I'm gonna stop doing weddings, so I didn't.
I
Of
am
last
the
year.
reason,
And she's the
that she
reason,
got
and so
back
I'm
into
like,
weddings.
well, you know what? I'm like, Sydney, I'll do this for you.
eyes
And
were
so I
watering.
went in and helped her with all of her.
Well, and that worked out because I mean, we've all helped each other out in a lot of scenarios too. Like I've picked up last minute gigs from you and stuff like that. Like we've all kind of like worked together in different spaces, and then since then, now we all independently have our own careers,
Yeah.
like doing
Yeah.
our own photo stuff. And I think what's funny is that you two shoot in a much more similar style than I do. I'm so different from the two of you. Like the style of shoot
Have
that
we
I do and
like
everything.
come in towards each other? Is that what's happened? I feel like mine was really.
You guys were
right
out. You
in
guys were
there.
different spaces. Yeah, you
Yours
started
was very
circling each other.
moody, and somehow I feel like we've come closer to each other and
Yeah.
met in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all those editing days.
Well, here's the thing though, because we shot, me and you,
Mm-hmm.
you shot pictures of Brian and I
Yeah,
downtown on OSU's campus.
Yes.
Whatever year that was.
forever ago.
But you
20
had to call
2019?
Haley for help.
Did you?
2019 or
Yes,
2020?
he called
Did you
you.
call
Because I
me?
tell you what it was. I remember what it
reason.
was.
Did you
I remember what it
call
was. You were
me?
looking for the warmer, moodier tones,
Mm-hmm.
which is not a thing I did at all, and that was what Haley was working on.
Yeah.
And she had it nailed
Oh
down
my
way
God.
better
No,
than I
but
did.
no, I
I
think
have
it
a-
was when we were there though. You asked her some sort of
did I?
posing or something.
Was this
posing
be-
stuff. It was posing stuff.
It was
yeah.
yeah.
posing? That's what it was. I know what it was.
And
Yep,
then
I
for
remember.
whatever reason,
Because I'll tell you this: if Haley, if
we
you excel at
started-
one thing and like above the rest of your stuff as a photographer, your posing of your couples and your models is top notch.
Thank you.
You do really, really well at it.
I
Because every time
don't-
I know this, because every time, like Sydney said, as I'm doing in my head when I'm shooting with people,
Yeah.
I go,
You're
"What
like,
Haley?
how
What
would
would
Haley
Haley
What
make
would
them do
Haley
right now?"
do?
Yeah.
I will say, I feel like that's the biggest compliment and number one feedback I get from my clients. And I don't think it's that I'm posing them in any wonderful way. I think I'm posing them in complementary ways for their body types and their
Yeah.
insecurities. So they always feel really nice about themselves
Yeah.
in my photos.
Yeah.
So I feel like I excel in that aspect of posing.
well, and I think before like editorial and documentary actually started being like a thing, it was kind of like your posing was already doing that in a sense.
Yeah.
Mine?
Like you were
Oh.
already like posing them in a way that it could be perceived as editorial.
As the
Oh,
producer of
well,
my
I
own
didn't even
podcast, I'm going to
realize
make an
that.
adjustment.
I'm like
Okay.
thinking of a pose.
Which is funny because when we shot my sister's
Dude,
elopement, I
yeah.
was looking at you because I lock up in stressful situations and I'm staring at you.
Yeah, you're like,
"Help
what do
me,
I
please."
do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so we've all like fed off of each other and like done a lot of things, but like we've also just planned shoots together like a number of times. Like we've just done like we're all gonna get to go to do that. And I'm gonna be honest. Last week or the week before, y'all called me and were like, "So we're gonna do this shoot. We planned it out. We're doing it together." And I went, "Where's my invite, guys?
I'm
when did I
sorry.
stop getting an invite to your shoots? Thank you."
I'm sorry, but I thought I very clearly heard you say, I'm doing DJ full time now.
No.
Was
I'm
it
still
my
doing
wedding, the
photos.
last one that you shot?
Weddings
Yeah.
wise, I don't do as far as weddings
Yeah,
are concerned.
I guess
don't
that's
shoot
true.
weddings.
Well, this was
What was this
actually-
a wedding you guys were shooting?
No.
a
but
planned shoot at a studio.
could you imagine if Zach been there?
Yeah. If Zach had been there, we would have gotten some really freaking...
No, but I
Cool
just
behind
think
the
because
scenes
the
stuff.
style that you're shooting, it was
Right.
not this shoot.
Yeah.
No, right. That makes sense.
No,
If he
technically
goes to
speaking-
the
That's
style
what I mean. You
shoot
guys
that
have
we're
very
going to in
different
May,
style shoots.
he would rock that.
Oh my gosh, Zach, if you could figure out a
With
way.
the shoot?
With the snake.
Is it women only, or are men invited to this?
I don't know. I mean, she
Zach,
just
there's
said
Figure out your
open to-
details and let me know because
Well, it's
apparently I'm
somebody else
invited
that's
to.
hosting it.
Yeah,
and
we're going
we are
to
going.
one. Okay.
But the one that we did a couple weeks ago was
You set
actually...
your own style shoot up a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Okay.
it was actually Sydney and I did a Christmas giveaway for a styled shoot.
This was like a contest to win.
It was
a giveaway for
somebody won
Yeah.
a styled shoot, and that was a good opportunity for Sydney and I to piece together our first.
Style
And it's
shoot.
fine
like
if I
a
would have
rush
just
in the
seen you
waters.
guys did a shoot, whatever. But it was when you were like, "Hey, so we need some props for this shoot. Can I come borrow your typewriter?"
Well, it
Showed
was
up and you were
great.
like,
I just
"On my way
think
to
it'd
shoot.
be
See you later." And then
hilarious
you
for
left.
Zach to
Zach felt
show
sad.
up.
I was sad.
And we're
You
like,
give me an invite
we're
to the
photographing
shoot.
a picnic. Like, I cannot picture you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
Versus
done a lot
now
of
this
things.
one that we're
No,
going
I did
to.
ask
It's
Zach
just
if
too
he was
funny.
going to be free. I last minute was like,
The day before, thank you.
because I wanted him to get behind the scenes footage of us, and he was busy.
I'm nothing but a tool to these two.
So
Yeah. Oh, ChatGPT can't film your behind the scenes footage.
no, it's
Cool.
mostly because every single time Zach finishes helping us, Zach ends it with, "Haley, you know your phone has Google on it, and you
That's
can get it on
true.
YouTube."
No, right. What's funny, because here's what it is. Because I'm not kidding. These are the texts I get from you. If I look back through our texts,
I don't
have.
even use Google
Here's
anymore.
what I have. Let me just recap this.
I'm 31, Zach.
I'm gonna look at what this
I'm
is.
old.
Here we go. The text conversation is as follows. Hey, what's that song about the Seven Nation Army? And me recording a screen capture that I sent back
You're a
to you.
DJ.
Hold on. A screen capture that I sent back to you where I copied your text, put it into Google, what's that song about the Seven Nation Army? Hit go, and it number one result, Seven Nation Army by the White
You
Stripes.
shouldn't tell me your secrets because I
And
said
then
it
I
home.
sent you the video of the screenshot. That's all I said.
You really shouldn't tell me your secrets because I said it home and
Oh
I
my
think to
God.
myself, my brother
That
is
was
a
the
genius.
funniest stuff.
He sent that to me.
Yeah,
5 seconds
think she would never
I want you to know
talk
this. Hold on.
Genius.
I want you to know
If she
this.
just
Here's what
used
happened.
Google. I
No, no,
know,
no, no.
my eyeball
Here's what
is
happened.
watering.
You said it. You said, "What's that song about the Seven Nation Army?" I went, "Seven Nation Army" by the White Stripes. I knew that off the top of my head. I immediately
is
knew that.
too funny.
But I wanted to give you the tools and the resources on how to find out what the
Zach.
name of a song is.
Zach, I
My
secretly,
Googling.
She needed you
I feel
in
like I
that moment.
secretly
She's like,
really
I need
like
Zach.
that Zach just has the answer.
I
when
did
I
just.
call
I
him.
want you to know. I did just have the answer to that. I
Yeah.
know that song. I know that song well.
And that's why I texted
Cool,
you. In
but-
fact, honestly, sometimes you're faster than Google.
Yeah, that's true.
So
A little bit,
Yeah.
yes. But in that case, it took me much longer because I screenshot recorded a video of me sending it to you. Yeah, that's
It's faster than a lot of things.
well,
yeah, you're fast, Zach.
thanks.
Well, when a bride is about to walk down the aisle,
Mm-hmm.
and I was actually shooting that day with another photographer, and I looked over at her. Now the wedding party's coming down, and she's the lead, so I'm the second shooter at the time.
This is you two shooting?
No.
No, it was
Different-
another
okay,
photographer.
different photographer, yeah.
And she's the lead, and she had just gotten a brand new camera, and
What camera?
it was a Canon.
Ah.
I don't know. And
We're Sony shooters now.
Yeah.
That's what this is. Shout out to my ZVE1 doing the podcast right now.
yeah, and so all these people are coming down the aisle, and I glance over and I notice she went to go swap her lenses out, or something happened, and the camera wouldn't turn back on. And that's why you have a second shooter. I instantly slid in and took over the wedding processional, and then I'm simultaneously calling Zach on my Apple Watch, and I'm like, help me. And I'm like reading him what's happening. And she's
During the ceremony?
She grabbed
During
her
the
other
ceremony.
camera back out, her old one, and I grab her camera, and
new
I'm
one.
on the phone with Zach, and in seconds.
During the ceremony, you're on the phone with me.
On
with
your
Apple
watch.
And
Wow, because your phone was in your bag.
I had an AirPod.
Yeah.
And somehow, I don't know, I think maybe it was my Apple Watch, and I was
pretty
just
sure you were
like
talking to your Apple
lowering
Watch.
the volume.
I remember you doing that.
Yeah, and I'm just like, Zach,
How do I fix this?
please help me. And he's like, what are you doing with the Canon? I was like, it's
I was
not
like,
mine.
whose Canon is
It's not mine. I just knew you would know. And you did, and it got up and running.
You're right. That's
yeah.
true. I was a Canon shooter. I learned Canon. I went to a career technical program, and I learned media production there. And I learned on Canon there, and I made the switch to Sony about the same time Haley did. Honestly, no regrets. Great.
I feel like they just made me their guinea pig. You know, Sony's really
No,
gonna
what's
change
funny about it is
things.
I had Mike on the podcast last couple episodes ago.
Yeah, I always say I have
And-
Mike to thank for this.
Yeah, because Mike I don't buy new gear without checking with him first. I
Yeah.
check it. Hey, so what's the best gear right now? What's the best camera? What's the best lens I can buy? Best gimbal I can buy? Whatever. And he always has the answer because he
See,
keeps up with
Mike
that
is
stuff.
better than Google.
Shout out to Mike.
So
On the last episode, if you want to watch Mike's full episode, the link is somewhere. You can click that. No, but like we shoot together, we do styled stuff, and like I like where you guys have gone because again, it is much different than where I am as a photographer. Like we are in very different spaces. I don't do weddings. I don't do the very bohemian style, very like warm editorial. That's not the vibe that I prefer to shoot. But I can do it, but you guys are way better at it. And so you guys taking your own careers and running off with them is kind of like it's a fascinating thing because it is equal parts for me like, well, duh, obviously they're doing that. Like you're great at what you do. And then it's also my own little like mama bird moment where I'm like, they're flying out of the nest. Look at them go. They're doing great. Look at you guys. I haven't heard from them about a tech question in like 3 weeks. It's
you
great.
don't realize we talk on the phone every day going, at what point do we add Zach
Give
into
up
the
and
phone
give up.
call?
Well, okay, also this, and I don't know if we had this exact exchange, but I know Haley and I definitely have, but you have FaceTimed me before, and I was like, oh, Haley's FaceTime me. And I open it, and it's you and someone else in a FaceTime call. That person FaceTimed you, asking you a tech question. You went, I have
Let's
the
call
solution.
Zach.
And you
Yes,
added me into the FaceTime
I remember
call.
that, and
Yeah.
what I did was I used Google. I used every knowledge that I feel like you've given me. I
Yeah.
really, really thought about it, and then I went, hang on, and I just added Zach in. Zach's like, hello, gives the answer immediately. Okay,
I do a lot
Google
of,
didn't know.
research.
I'm not
I know what
needed
I'm doing.
anymore. Why don't you just talk to him?
Yeah,
Yep.
and then he's
Yeah.
like, and you do realize you can Google. I'm like, I did Google.
No, just because when you text me about the name of a song, yeah, I'm gonna know the answer, but so is Google.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, but yeah, you guys are doing your own styled shoots. What do you feel like is like as you've gravitated around? You wanted to like get out of weddings, but for some reason are now back into it. That's the reason.
I was talking to Sydney about
Yeah.
this the other day.
I want to hear your thoughts on, and then do you prefer to do weddings? What's your sphere that you want to be in, like your zone you want to be in?
If I wasn't living in Ohio, just elopements.
just
Yeah.
elopements,
But
do those
Ohio, just-
majestic mountaintop
Yeah.
elopements, yeah. Some
Living
real
in
Colorado
Colorado.
stuff. That's some Colorado stuff for sure.
Yeah.
What if you made that happen here in a way that nobody else
I
here
know.
is doing it?
It's just the thought of
Find
like
elopement, like Hocking Hills.
we've always wanted to live in Colorado,
Why not?
and well, now we have a baby, and now it's like we want to be around family. So that's maybe what
Yeah, I get
happened
that.
later.
It's the same
down
reason
the
I'm in
road.
Ohio. I have
But
a
the
kid, and I don't
idea
wanna
of
leave.
I'm actually shooting an elopement in Colorado.
yeah.
That's what I want to have.
Fair
But
enough.
I'm perfectly okay with the picturesque look of it may look like we're in the mountains, but we're only in Hocking Hills.
Right.
But
I feel
the
like
dream.
we could explore.
So that's the
it
dream.
a
That's where
little
you want to
bit more.
go.
yeah,
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
yeah.
Really.
What are you? And you're not
I keep
looking for
It's the
weddings, but you
couple.
keep booking weddings.
Basically,
So I've
yeah.
told so many people this. They'll contact me, are you available on my wedding date? And I will literally say no, because that's in the following year. I'm not
Yeah.
taking on, I've done this like 3 times. I'm not taking on any more weddings. I'm finishing out the ones that I have. And then inevitably, Sydney sucks me into
Back into weddings.
Here's the thing. I love weddings for the social aspect of it. I feel like running a wedding day as a photographer, it's like I can, like, what do you call it? Like riding a bike, or like you can sleep and do it. What's
Yeah,
the,
like
you
it's
know.
like riding a bike. You never forget
Yeah,
how to do it.
I'm
yeah.
telling you, I could do it. Like if you sent me right now, I could
Like
do
it's in
it.
the back
and
of
it
your
doesn't
head.
Instinctually just
constantly.
go
it
for
doesn't
it.
stress
Yeah.
me out.
Yeah.
I feel like our family has been in the wedding industry for
It's true.
literally my memories is before I was born.
Yeah.
And I've been to it
Dad and I
just
were talking about it on
doesn't
our
bother
podcast, too,
me,
but-
the social aspect, the problem solving. I almost work better under stress in that way. But when it comes to looking at my work at the end of the day and what I want my work to do, I just feel like I'm losing out on like that creative one-on-one time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so the stress of the wedding day or like the high speed pace of that and the dancing and the partying, I do get a high off of it. But when I'm looking at my portfolio and I'm like, I don't know, I would almost not, I wouldn't do a wedding for free anymore, but I would
Right.
do any other thing for free
You
because
don't get
I
the
love
creative aspect,
Yes,
and you
that
feel
creative
like you're
itch.
that creative aspect of
Yeah.
it. And so I find it's harder for me to get creative with anybody that's even eloping because they're thinking about other things.
Well, they're thinking about their getting married. Yeah.
They're not thinking about getting creative. I'm sure they want it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm working with, example, a senior or a boudoir
Right.
client or just anybody one-on-one or even a couple that's like
They're looking for
doesn't
that
have anything, like
creativity.
it's not their engagement shoot. They just
Yeah.
want to have fun. My heart is like set on fire. Maternity, something like that. And so I've just been talking to Sydney a lot lately. Like I would love to figure out a way for that to be. I don't even want it to necessarily be seniors. I just want to find a way to do creative shoots with just like one person or two people for
So you
no
want to do
reason.
model shoots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got
pretty
it.
much.
That
for
makes
no
sense.
reason.
Makes
So-
sense. Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part with weddings because I always tell my clients, like, I don't want you to feel like you're on a timeline. I want you to be able to embrace your day.
Yeah.
But as a photographer, you're like, I'm literally on a timeline crunch
Yeah.
right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for
Other people
me,
are counting on us.
I've been getting not necessarily disappointed, but like, I don't know,
I think your
insecure in a
experience-
way when I have a couple and they're not so excited to do their
Mm-hmm.
portraits on their wedding day.
Mm.
They want to get right
They
back
want to
in and
get right back
party.
in to be with
Yeah.
their guests, and I completely understand that because
Sure.
so would I.
Absolutely.
But then I think they need these portraits. It's their wedding day. But then for me, you can't get creative with it.
Yeah.
You're like,
And
well, they
so-
need these portraits. Let me get the standard ones out of the way. And then you're like, I did it.
I did it.
And there was a high off of it. And
Mm-hmm.
now I can go eat cake and dance with them. And there's something
but you don't
fun.
receive anything out of it either.
Right. As
Yeah.
a portfolio.
As a portfolio
yeah.
for your business.
Yeah.
And that's where, like
Your
she said, going
creativity
out
side is just
Right.
stunted. Yeah.
I get
and
that.
going out and doing a styled shoot or just having models.
Elopements
I
is
would
a
feel
good middle
satisfied
ground.
if I were just to be able to put that in my schedule every month, have like 3 fun shoots while also doing weddings.
Well, that's
to
the thing.
fill
That's
that.
part of the reason I love photo and video. I love shooting content. That's why I don't do weddings.
Yeah.
Because weddings are not fun for me. I don't enjoy shooting weddings.
It's
DJing
fun in
weddings,
a different way.
Right. This thing. I love DJing weddings. I have the
Yeah.
most fun DJing weddings. I show up, I set my gear up, I'm the life of the party for like 6-7 hours,
And
and
you're
then I
done
go home.
after.
And I go home. That's it.
Yeah.
But like shooting weddings is tough because it's a lot of pre-planning. You're there for that, you get there way early, you're walking around with them, setting up whatever, and then you gotta go through it. You gotta cull your photos. You gotta sort through your video, and you gotta edit, and
Check
then you
the
gotta
lighting
deliver.
for every new
Yes,
area.
every
of
new
the
area,
day.
every new scene.
Yeah.
Cloud shows up. Guess what? We're on a delay now. That's it. Like there's that type of stuff is very impactful for weddings. I don't want to deal with that when I'm shooting because for me, photo and video is something I prefer to do creatively, which is why like I do the shoots that I do. Like so I do boudoir content, but like because it's fun for me to do. It's creative for my
It's an
brain to
outlet.
come up with. It's a creative outlet. It's fun for me. It's creative. It's an energy that I get to like set the pace and set the style
For a wedding,
and
it's
everything.
like you literally kind of feel like you're on a routine.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
are.
There
for
is
sure.
no creativeness.
You
It's
almost,
okay.
in a way,
This is your outline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like non-photography related. In a way, you're waiting on something really interesting to happen.
Yeah.
That's
Outside of
not
the timeline?
outside of like photography,
Right.
Because then you're like, oh, I can get this like itch to help out in some other way, but it doesn't fill the creative itch.
So I
Yeah.
was at a wedding literally a few weeks ago as a guest.
Isn't that the worst?
And that was
Not
the
the
most
No, I don't.
interesting experience because I don't remember the last time. Well, actually, it was last year. But, like, I went to one wedding last year where I was a
You're the
guest.
guest. I haven't been to a wedding as a guest in so long.
Felt so weird because I'm literally, like, watching the photographer the whole time. Not in a judgment type of way, but, like, this is what I'm normally doing. What am I supposed to do? Just sit at a table and wait?
Yeah.
And I see her messing with her flash.
Yeah.
And you're like,
And it's
I
during
You
her-
want to help? You want to jump in?
During the reception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Haley and I just shot a wedding last week together, and come to find out it was because my camera was at 47%, so my flash was working harder than my camera was.
Yeah.
So it wasn't triggering, right?
Also, we were on the same channel.
And we were on the same channel.
And so when the bride's coming down the aisle, Sydney and I are next
You're
to each other.
firing over each other.
Oh my
But like I
gosh.
didn't
Yeah.
think a
Yeah.
3% difference from being under 50
Yeah.
would take that much
Which, by
hit
the way,
on
is
it.
that a thing?
You're talking about just
Your
eating into
flash will take longer to recharge if you're under 50% battery on your camera or
Yeah.
your flash.
It was my camera that was under 50%.
It's a great thought.
And it
I
wasn't
don't know that I
triggering.
can confirm
Well,
that.
So I did.
Especially,
So we
Swapped out
swapped it
batteries
and
and
it
it
instantly
worked.
worked. So I see her at this wedding.
The only reason
and
I
it's-
say that
she's
is because
doing
I
that,
don't
and I
think I
can
can
see
stick
her
to it.
One after
panicking.
this?
Yeah, it was just as a guest this past weekend.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I'm watching her during the reception,
Yeah.
and I look at Brian, and I'm like, do I go over there and help her? Because I do not want to be stepping on her toes. But
Right.
I
Did
can
you?
see her freaking out. And she ended up going away, and I couldn't find her, and I wasn't going. So I ended up
Oh, I
not
totally
doing it.
would. I
Now,
would totally
I kind
do
of
it.
regret it, and hopefully it
Yeah.
all worked out great for her.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it was really hard to feel like a guest at a wedding and
Yeah.
not like I needed to be doing something
Well,
as a job.
so I haven't been to a wedding as a guest. I
Yeah.
think, and I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty positive since like 2018.
Oh, right, because
Every wedding. Think about any wedding you've been to with me.
the
You're
last,
doing something.
The last wedding I
I'm
went
doing
to
photo,
as a
video, or
guest,
DJing, and probably DJing.
I can name this our family.
Sure, go
Todd
ahead.
and Michaela's wedding.
I was DJing. Yeah.
I know, but I wasn't.
Yeah. you were a
And
guest.
I enjoyed it, but I do remember noting the photographer at the time. I just was watching him the whole time just because I was like a little bit envious that he had something to do.
Yeah.
And I was
Yes.
like,
You were a
oh.
guest
That's
and you
how I-
wanted to
that's
do
how I
something.
was
You're
like,
like, I
oh,
can't.
I'm
I don't know
like,
how
what
to
can
see
I be
you. and I'm
doing
I'm
doing
like,
it
could he
now.
just like, would he mind if I just like followed him around?
yeah.
You know, just because I
Yeah.
felt like I belonged with like the staff in a
Yeah.
way.
You thought you belonged
Yeah.
with the people working the wedding because you're not used to. We
Yeah.
don't know how to be guests at weddings.
And
really
that
what it is.
was
I don't
in
know how to be a guest at a
2021,
wedding. Yeah.
and it's 2025, so
Yeah.
it's been that long,
Yeah.
I think.
Well, so like I don't go to guests at a wedding, but like for example, I do karaoke like 3 nights a week. I love karaoke; it's a lot of fun. I have a good time with it. I have been forcing myself before I get heavy into wedding season to like go out and like be social, like have a go out, not when I'm working, like go enjoy like being a human in the world. Went to somebody's karaoke on Friday
And
night.
you nitpicked it the
No,
entire
no,
time.
didn't nitpick it.
Yeah.
Had to convince myself to not walk up and talk to them because one of the worst things, and maybe this is me,
It's horrible when
one
someone's
of the
like,
worst
"I'm a
things that I can do
photographer."
is yes, when I'm at a
Yeah.
wedding and I'm DJing or whatever, or I'm at a club and I'm DJing, and somebody comes in and they're like, "Hey man, I'm a DJ," and I'm like, "Sure
Yeah.
you are, bud.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, whatever."
This is funny that
I
you
don't
brought that
buy
up
it, but-
because I feel like Sydney and I a handful of times have had like another family friend photographer kind of show up. I feel like
And
this
be there
happened
with
recently.
their little camera and
And
it's the
you
worst.
feel torn. At least I don't know. I'm not going to speak for you, but I feel torn because, on one hand, we're like, why are they getting in our way?
Yeah.
Why which they technically weren't, but I think their presence there with their camera.
Well, because you're worried about like, do I bump into you, or because you're standing right next
Or
to me?
you
here.
feel like
don't
you're
need to be
I
right
mean,
here in my
stepping
face.
on
this
toes,
particular
even though
girl
it
did a
wasn't-
great job. She
Yeah.
wasn't in the way, but she was there doing a lot. And the other half of me wanted to be like, how excited was that girl to maybe stand near us or like hang out with us?
Right.
And I wanted to be able to like invite her into
Oh,
that.
you
while-
had left after the reception because she
Yeah.
was only there for a few hours.
Yeah.
And she was talking my head off the whole
See,
time.
she
and
wanted to
asking
connect
what
with
it
you.
looked
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, it was actually a photographer for the venue. It wasn't a family friend.
And they did let us know
And
that
the
when we
venue
showed up.
let me know right when I showed up.
Right, that there'd be
But
someone
all
else
that
there.
the venue coordinator had said was she's taking shots of the venue for the ceremony, like
Gotcha.
for the
for
wedding.
the website
Right.
or whatever.
For the
yeah.
website,
Yeah,
yes. And the whole night, like she
Just
was
in your
down
business.
the aisle with us during the ceremony.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
overstepping though.
And then
That's
so I
overstepping.
said,
'Cause on
hey,
the
I will
client's
actually
behalf.
send you the galleries for you guys to be
Right.
able to use our images for it.
Yeah.
And like Haley said, she wasn't stepping on her toes or anything like that. But it was just like,
I think I do feel torn though because in those
Snow.
situations, I could tell she didn't have a flash. She needed one
Yeah.
in there. And I remember thinking to myself, like, if I wasn't so busy, like, working right now, I would talk to her and chit-chat with her and maybe fuel her fire a little bit, because I'm wanting to get out of weddings anyway, and if somebody else is trying to get in them,
right,
you know?
right.
Passionate.
It wasn't in the sense of, like, competition.
No.
It was more
it was
so just like...
You don't.
hey.
There's a fine line. Like,
Didn't
how do
know
I
this was gonna
stay
happen
I think in
either.
reality, and the venue is a huge part of that. But like the venue, their job is to provide us a suitable place for a wedding.
Right.
If your venue is putting a photographer in place, your job is the photographer. Your job is to capture the
I'm
day.
surprised they didn't just
It's
ask for the
stepping on the
gallery,
client's
you know?
toes.
Right.
to
That's
have
what I
someone
said,
there.
and she looked shocked.
Yeah.
Or
She
if your
did.
venue does provide a photo and video team, offer that to your couples so
Yeah.
that they don't have to outsource.
I also
too.
noticed
But-
on their website.
But not every photo and video team is right for every client.
Well, for sure,
Yeah,
but that
but-
wasn't even offered. It was
Yeah.
more so just
That is just kind of bothersome.
I
get
looked
that.
at their website just to scout the place before we showed up, and I did notice they did not have any photos on their website of any weddings at all. And so there
It's a
was
newer
no
venue?
reference.
No?
But it was
Oh.
no
but
reference
they use it for
us
other events.
Okay, got
to
it.
figure out where anybody else has shot there before, so we just had to get creative on our own. But it makes more sense. They probably aren't thinking just to reach out to photographers and say, can we use your photos for our website?
But what's funny is, as a DJ, I've been doing that a lot more in the last couple of years. Like, I've been working harder to build
Connect
better,
with the
build
venues,
better
not
client
just the
relations and stuff
clients.
like that. Like with the venue, with the photographer, with the videographer, and being like, hey, could I? When like when a photographer and I are chit chatting, I'm like, hey, I would love to have some of your pictures or whatever. And I have a couple photographers
Yeah,
I've
you
worked
take
with.
hers all the
Yeah.
well, not all the time. You guys did one wedding together?
Last year we did one together. We usually do about one or two a year together.
And you know, that was really fun. I'm really glad we got to do that.
But he was
will
able to
say-
use the photos that you took of him.
yes
to post.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to
and I
wedding.
do
that
that.
was
I've been
neat.
doing that with my photographers lately. It's just been like, can I use your pictures for my Instagram?
Well,
and
yeah,
people
because
honestly,
what else
the
are
time
you
they
going
don't
to
well, and a
use?
lot of times they're very good, nice about that. They didn't used to be. People used to be very stingy about it in the industry.
Yeah.
People are a lot nicer
There's
about it
no
now.
reason.
Yeah, and it's like a building together
Yeah.
thing, and like I'll tag you on Instagram, and that'll
Can I speak on this for a second? Is that okay?
Sure, go for it.
don't even
Just
know what you're gonna
'cause
say.
this, I'm sure it's like very common topic of conversation right now with this community over competition thing.
Yeah.
But I was just talking to Paige about this the other day, and
Our other sister, who's a photographer as well.
photographer. I was just talking to her about this, and like as
Shout
I was
out, Paige.
talking, I was like having these full epiphanies. I'm like, I think there's a difference between, you know, working really hard to get information, but at the same time, if somebody really wants to know how to do something, they're gonna figure out how to do it. And if you don't just answer their question about where a location is,
Yes. The
I think-
gatekeeping
I think
locations has been a
gatekeeping
thing.
certain things, like, but if somebody reaches out and they're like, what f-stop are you typically using? Or, you know, whatever. Little things that I know they could Google.
Sure.
They're not going to be able to Google what presets I'm using.
Yeah.
But they
Right.
are going to be able to Google what, or they're not, they
Standard
can't
ISO or
Google
f-stop
how
or-
I edit.
Yeah,
But
like-
they can Google every other thing in
But that's the
relation
thing. If
to
you're also
photography.
able to help people out a little bit, and not gatekeeping all this deep
What
information
I have
is tough.
found is they are either going to not pursue it, not get good at it,
Mm-hmm.
or they are. And when they do, they're going to look back at the people that helped them as that person helped me get here. Or they're going to look
It's
back at
client
that
relations.
person
Yeah.
and they're going to think, I figured it out anyway. And that person did not help me and they had no reason not to.
Now, and I know this is like so on this.
And
if
I
can
do
branch
feel
off
that
this,
way
yeah.
about photography.
There are. I want you like just think about it, like because I know we all have a list of our own people that are like
I could, yeah.
like who were like, dude, that person was awesome. Thank you so much for being there and helping
Yeah.
me. You were amazing to me. And there's another list of like, dude, you really didn't have to be such a turd about that. I would love
like,
to have
it's things like
had a good
I
relationship
reached out
with you.
to
and
another photographer one time, and it's because I got a new flash, and I'm thinking to myself, this person would be able to very quickly help me. I'm gonna figure this flash out. I didn't ask them what their flash settings were. I said,
Yeah.
how do I use this flash? And I think it just no help. There was really, I think this person sent me like a link to a YouTube video that I had already watched, and it was
Sure.
just like not.
It wasn't
I'm a
specific
mom,
enough.
I'm a
It's the
special needs
fact of
mom.
you're not researching yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one thing to ask a simple question, but like
Yeah.
How do I turn my flash on TTL mode?
I've never not
It's kind of
helped
like when
anybody.
you said, we'll use this as the example. You asked Zach what this song is, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't you just Google it? Because
Yeah.
you just
Now,
immediately
if
thought of Zach.
if Zach just sent
But if
me
you just
the
said-
Google link for it, I'm going to feel differently as if Zach just says it. I'm going to
No,
figure
I did
out
something
the
way
name
worse,
of the
but that's because
song.
you're my sister.
Yes.
I know,
Yes.
but like I'm going to
But a
figure out the
simple
name of
thing
the song.
like that,
Yeah.
rather
Yeah.
than just asking
So-
somebody to give you the answer, that's what's
Be
coming.
a good person.
Yeah.
Just because it's
You want to help people out.
Yeah.
You don't want to hand somebody every single little thing. You
Yes.
got to work hard for this craft. I think the biggest thing is when people are like claiming to be photographers or videographers or DJs or whatever.
they don't
people,
know anything.
And what it is like, you've not tried at all. You're not put any work into this. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, no, I'm definitely a photographer. And I'm like, okay, there's a big difference because that is something that I hold dear as a part of myself. And I want new people to feel like they can get into this. I want them to feel excited by it. I love seeing other people be passionate
Paige
about
is
stuff
a
like
great
this.
example of somebody that has been pursuing it herself,
She's
but
working
looking
hard
for
at it.
guidance from
Yeah.
other people,
she-
not just searching for an answer
she has
directly.
really
Yes,
worked
yeah.
hard on her own.
Oh,
for that.
1,000%.
She's working hard on her own.
Shout
That's
out,
what I think, which, by the way,
Paige. Yeah, shout out
Paige, you're going to be on this
For doing
podcast.
it all by yourself, Paige.
You're going to get to be
No.
a guest on this
This
podcast
is just a promo
soon.
for
That's
you.
the thing is usually by the time somebody has reached out to me to ask me a question about a location or this or that, I can just take 2 seconds to pop over to their photography page and I can tell if they've been working on it.
Because you
Yeah.
want to know that
Yeah.
somebody's actually cares and is
I'm
trying.
like they
and
look like they
being-
are
putting in
really
effort.
out here trying, and I've never withheld something so simple.
Yeah.
I'm like they are gonna reverse image search that and figure out exactly where it is, and in the
Yeah.
back of their mind they're gonna go, Haley just gotta told
So
me
there's a
where it is."
certain level of it, and this is
Yeah.
one thing I
Yeah.
want to do is a story, but there's a certain level of like, you got to work hard, you have to put the effort in, and then you also, to some degree, just a little bit, you have to kind of fake it till you make it a little bit. You have to kind of put your image out there as like a, you know,
I think everybody does.
I'm doing this, right?
Yeah.
So there's a fine line, and it's a weird balance of whatever, but like, I one story that I know, and I felt bad for her because I felt like I probably like outed her and didn't mean to. I was at a wedding, and there was a photographer there, and as I always do, I checked in with the photographer, and I pulled up her Instagram, and I see that she follows you, and I was like, oh, cool, she knows my sister, right?
I don't know who this is.
Yeah.
So I walk
can't
over
figure it out
and I
either.
go, hey, blah, 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 blah. We're talking. Nice to meet you. I go, this your Instagram, right? She goes, yeah. I was like, awesome. I'll follow you. And she was like, oh, yeah, follow you back. And I go, yeah, how do you know Haley? And she was like, oh, I know Haley. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
still
go,
don't know who
and
you're
did that,
talking
and I was
And
like,
Haley
that's awesome.
doesn't even know who she is.
And then I go, oh, that's awesome. How do you guys know each other? She's my sister. And then she goes, well, like I've been following her page. And what I found out is she followed you, but wanted the image of like, of course I know people in
her.
the industry. And I went, that's my sister. That's
No,
great.
if
But it's
somebody
great
wants
for
to
you
say
guys.
that's the thing. If somebody wants to say that they know me,
I
like,
bet she was completely
don't
caught
care
off
at all.
guard that you're like,
yeah,
that's
I'm
my
sorry.
sister.
I felt bad
Here's
because
the thing.
I could see what she was doing.
If
She
you
was doing
told-
the fake it
if
till you
you
make
told
it
me
thing,
who
and I
it
felt bad for
was-
outing her.
Yeah,
but-
if you told me who it was, I probably would be like, oh, I know that person.
I doubt
Well,
you would.
Yeah.
what's funny is I texted
You
you and
doubt I
said,
would.
I
I
texted
don't
you and
think-
said, do you know this person? And you
Okay.
said, oh, I can tell she's
I
working
d-
hard
I
and come
will
up in the
say
industry.
this.
Because
And
she's just
It
following
happens
you. She
more
said
than
that
not.
she's never met her or anything.
At first she was like, I know Haley, of course. And I was
Right,
like,
but
yeah.
they've never met. It's
They've
just
never
somebody
met.
that
I will
follows
say,
you.
I don't know if this is just because our family as a whole just knows
Okay,
so
true.
many people for so many different reasons.
that's true.
Or that I'm a twin or not. But I think the more probable thing is just that I am bad at remembering people. And I think everybody else maybe is just better at remembering people.
Sure.
So, I mean, it does happen a lot where people will approach me or say that they know who I am. And I'm like, I literally don't know
Well,
who you are.
you're very low key TikTok famous.
No, I'm not. And I don't like it when people say that because
And you got like 300,000 followers on
That's-
TikTok.
I
That's
would
very
call-
low key, but it is some kind of TikTok.
he's being funny because my mom made a joke one time that was like, my kids are TikTok famous. And I'm like, no, I would say popular in specific communities.
It's in specific communities, right? Fine.
Is the word.
But
I'm
like one of
popular
your
in
viral
certain
videos,
communities.
you hit a few million on your TikToks very regularly.
I wouldn't even say regularly, but Zach,
I know your
Zach's
numbers.
gonna want to
No, I know your numbers. I see your TikTok. You hit
And
like
again-
1.8, 2, 3, 4 million at
It-
random on TikTok
It's in
every
certain
couple of months.
communities.
So
It's in specific
Okay.
communities. So like the one on my sister's page, we do frequently hit certain high numbers, but that's for being redheaded twins.
yeah.
And then on my page, it's for stories related to being an autism mom, or sometimes Corey, like my husband.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Him being a
people are
dork.
just
I
like,
love him.
he's just being
It's
a
great.
dork, and it's
But within that, then you
The
were able
Roman
to say
Empire
that they
trend?
find out
Yeah.
that you are a photographer.
Yeah.
You're not even posting trending photography
No, but I
stuff.
will
Yeah.
say that is how I first got my following,
Yeah, that's
was
true.
the blind date photo shoots. I think maybe only we had seen one
True.
person do it on Facebook, and it didn't even take off.
And what Haley did was grab two total strangers that didn't know each other at
Yep.
all and did a blind date photo shoot where they did a turn and reveal to each other right then, and
Yep.
then did a couple shoot like they knew each other.
Yeah,
And that video went pretty
I
viral,
want to
so.
say if there was somebody that had gone viral for it, I had never seen it, but I saw somebody post about it on Facebook, in Jordan did, on a Facebook photography group. So as far as I knew, I was the first person on TikTok to have gone
Kinda get,
viral
like, some clout
for
on it.
the
Yeah.
blind date photo shoot, and then it just rapid fire took off after that.
Yeah, I
So
saw a
that's
ton of
how
people
I
doing
got
after
my
that.
initial following, but then it became other things.
Yeah.
So
Well, regardless, my point is you have your face is out there on the internet
for various
different reasons, and
Yeah.
in one way or another, 300,000+ people decided to follow you collectively across your socials. So like you got some people that would probably recognize you out in public.
It
is my
happens a
point.
lot,
That's
but
all.
at the same time,
Yeah.
a lot of times it's just because they know somebody in our family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ohio, small community. People don't.
It has happened a
people
couple
know each
times.
other.
We went bowling once, and somebody didn't approach me, and then sent me a message later. I didn't want to bother you while you were bowling,
Aw.
but we saw
Well, that's
that
very
you were
respectful.
bowling.
Thank you.
And I was like, I totally would not have cared if you bothered
Yeah,
me.
you're the
while
type
you were
of
bowling.
person you're like, come up to me,
Yeah.
talk to me, I want
Yep.
to meet you.
They had recognized Micah, my son. So
Yeah. No, but like you have your communities and you have your different spaces that you're in, and like I think it's funny because I have personally seen this shift. So Haley, directly to you, is like I have personally seen where when you started in photography, you were like doubting yourself a lot. Like I had to talk you off the bridge several times.
I almost
You were like,
quit, like,
I should just
super
quit.
fast.
I'm selling
She
all
said
my
she's gonna
cameras.
quit
I'm
every 2
terrible at
weeks.
this. Every couple of weeks we were doing this. Every week we were doing this for a while, and then it became less and less frequent. And I don't think I've had to talk you off the cliff like several times.
I now do.
no, because it's Sydney talking me off
Good,
the
good.
cliff now.
No, but so
Yeah.
that when that first happened, and then you were eager, you were hungry for it, you wanted to get into it. I could see the passion in you, and so you went for it, and you were searching for other photographers. You had your photographers that you were drawing inspiration from. You had built your own little community. You were asking questions, and you were curious, and you wanted to get in there.
I do cling to people like Sydney, Paige.
But
a
that was
couple
here's the
other-
thing: you were
Yeah.
clinging to high-end photographers
Yeah.
for inspiration and community there. I have seen the shift now where
people are clinging
new
to
photographers are looking for your inspiration.
Well, thank
I
you,
very
Zach. I
clearly
don't think
see
it's
that.
the- but
No, I
thank you.
really do. I really do see it.
It does happen. I think after a while that
Can
you
we
know,
talk
people-
also talk about the fact that you are the reason that many photographers, especially female photographers in Ohio, are on Sonys?
I don't think
I know you are. I know
Zach
that
is
for a fact.
But yeah,
I know that. Because I know
have
photographers who never
convinced-
wanted Sony mirrorless until you got one.
I convinced a lot of people. I
Yeah.
will say I
Yes.
rapidly convinced, including.
So now you're the
Sydney.
inspiration
Okay,
for
well,
it.
let's be real though. When
Yeah.
it comes to the two of us,
Yeah,
I don't like spending money.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sydney's
She's the
very
one that
frugal.
convinces me to spend money.
Yeah.
We have
And
to have
here's
someone
the
there like
thing,
And
I
so-
know this
funny.
about you, and I won't convince
Yeah,
you
I
unless I
know.
know you need
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And now we're kind of trickling back down to you. Like you're a
Yeah.
little jealous of some things that I
Yeah,
have too.
of course.
Now,
So
Sid,
yeah.
you've done
Then you
your
get
own
something and I'm
growing
like,
in that
"Oh."
industry.
Hang on a second.
But now when it comes to the client experience, it's like, okay, we need to do this.
Sydney's
but she
amazing
also
at the
has
client
a bajillion
experience.
things that
Yeah.
Right, but I'm
Or in her
seeing so I'm
life.
seeing different dynamics, and like when you first started, and in my head I was like, yeah, friend from high school, yeah, you're getting started. Sure, here's a camera, and then we like work on a couple things. I'd get some questions answered for you, whatever, and we'd. But then now this is like your profession, so like this
Yeah.
is what you do now,
Yeah.
and you're taking.
Do you
on
remember for
weddings and-
class, like my photography class, I literally had to have an internship.
Yeah,
And
you
I'd
interned
have
for
my
me.
internship with Zach.
Well, 'cause
which
I have a
consisted
media
of
company.
going to
Yes.
Walmart and getting boxes for you
That's
to
true.
do your little
On the vlog.
stage shots of what your equipment at the time.
Yeah, we did a little photo set box for
And
like
he
product
just sign
photography.
off on it. Yeah, we can call it an internship. It
Yeah.
was. yeah.
Technically, yes.
Sure.
Well, that's the thing. I've
Sure,
done
I'd
that for
come over
several
and
other
pet the
people
dog.
too. Yeah, I've done that for several people where like they need like a write up because I run a media company and we do photo and video
Yeah,
and
like
DJing
you
and
have-
audio and all
yeah.
kinds of stuff. So if I need to like, I am technically, and it feels like I have my level of imposter syndrome myself. But like, yeah, no, I'm a professional.
Like, you
in the
had a
industry.
business.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have a business.
Yeah.
I think Sydney's all about the client experience from the time that people find out before they even talk to you. You're all about the client experience all the way up until you deliver, and even sometimes
talk to me about
after.
that a
Your
lot.
clients are typically they end up feeling very close to you by the end of it, and I feel like I differ more on. To give a good client experience, I have to make sure I have all of the stuff that this client would need to execute the photo aspect of it.
Right.
And I feel very confident in my abilities that way. Sydney goes the extra mile, and she's inspiring me to do that more now.
But also, like, having a backup camera.
And I had to say,
If
that's
I
a
didn't
part of
have
the
a
client
backup-
experience. Yeah.
You know,
Thankfully,
these
I wouldn't have
situations.
had to. Yes,
Yeah.
thankfully, I haven't had the need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thought of it, or when my hard drive failed, I
Yeah.
got into the thought of having
We learn
3
from each
backup
other.
Redundancy hard drives, yeah.
because of
Yeah.
fear of something happening. So for
Yeah.
you, it's like, had you not told me to get all this gear, my business would not be able to be where it is today. And now I've been able
You
to
have
go
peace
above
of
and
mind
beyond.
now when
And-
if something fails, you can handle it.
Right.
And I think that's what's really great about having a community of people you get along with, because no one person is going to just know everything. They've learned it from
Right.
somebody.
Yeah.
Even if it was a person on YouTube, they learned it from someone. They got that idea from somebody. So
Right.
if you're friends with somebody that can push you to grow in certain ways, like Zach's pushed us in ways, and I feel like we pushed each other,
Yeah,
you're going to
absolutely.
get further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1,000%.
I've seen the compounding growing
1,000%.
happen between
Yeah.
the two, like between you two,
Sydney inspires me in so many different ways. And
Well, and now people are like kind of missing in a way, like when you post something photography related, it's like, where's Sid? Or when I do, it's like,
you're a unit now.
where
In
is
some
it?
capacity,
Sydney
you are
together.
or
together.
now,
has
Yeah.
it become that predictable?
yeah,
now?
it's like now, like you're my main second shooter just because we work so well together, and I don't feel the need to just ask random people. I learned my lesson last year and a few years prior to that of just having random
second
people,
shooters.
and that was more so to know the community and people around me. But you
Get a
think
niche
about it and
and
you're
a
like,
niche with someone,
this is
yeah.
somebody's actual wedding that we're shooting.
Yeah,
Like
you
we
need to
can't
trust the team you're
redo
with.
this.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I really like focus on is
Yeah.
like as a DJ too, but like just in general, I express this to my couples all the time. Like it is so important to have your dream team, because if you have a photographer and a DJ, or a photographer and a videographer, or even a photographer and their second shooter that can't jive and get along, or they can't get along with the planner or the venue or whatever, it can create some really problematic situations, or really like that tension can be there. And it really does like impact the wedding day a lot. So like working, I know there are photographers that I know the moment I see them on my schedule, I'm like, oh, dude, day's gonna be great. Love
Right.
that. It's easy. It's really easy to work with the two of you. For me, it's really easy because I've been working with you two
You
longer
know
than
we're
anybody.
getting them back in there
Yeah.
by the time that the
By
reception.
the grand
You
entrance
care about my
starts.
timeline. You know what the importance of the dance floor is. You look after what's going on. And at the end of the day, I'm walking away with photos I can use on my Instagram from YouTube.
Right,
So like that
right.
works out well for me. But like there's other photographers that I use out there in the industry that like every single time I'm excited to work with them. And then there are photographers and planners and videographers and stuff that I'm like, man, I don't want to work with them because they're not respectful of my timeline. They don't check with me. I check in with them. They don't check in with me. They don't care to like help
It's
me out
really
in any way. They
important
don't do
how
me
you
any
network with
favors.
people.
And I'm trying so hard to like get along with them, and they're not doing me any favors. And then they're like coming at me with their own timeline. And they're like, no, this is the timeline we're following. And I'm like, dude, you didn't send me that. Check in with me about that. I have my own timeline that I've had my own planning meetings with this couple. That is
think-
much different from yours. Why didn't we talk about this?
I think
And that's hard.
personality is important too.
Yeah.
Because you want the person that you're with to either complement
Mm-hmm.
your personality, get along with your personality, or reflect you in
Yeah.
a certain way.
Yeah.
And I feel like Sydney, everybody that I shoot with, that I enjoy shooting with, because
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
there are people I will never hire again.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
it's
name
true.
drop them. But there are people that I enjoy shooting with. And it's for Sydney, I know Sydney's going to shoot at a similar way that I am.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to think about things I'm not thinking about because my brain's over here, and vice versa. And then there's other
It's
people
like you're
that
each other's ideal second shooters.
yeah, I'll
Yes,
name drop.
yeah.
I'm gonna name drop because I don't think it matters. But I really enjoyed shooting with Savannah
Yeah.
that wedding I last shot
Yeah.
with you because Savannah's personality was so like I don't know how to explain it. She was so
You
talkative.
guys meshed well together.
We meshed
Your
well with
energy
our
was good.
personalities, so she's
Yeah.
so talkative, and
Good
she's
chemistry.
over there talking to the mother of the groom
Well,
while
and I
I'm
talked to you-
setting
I
up
talked
my
to her during,
flashes. She's
dinner.
talking
Yeah.
to you.
Great to get
so
along
she's
with.
not somebody that I'm afraid to be like, oh, she's on my team.
Right.
She's antisocial. She was
Right.
social. She was personable. And while I'm over there trying to fix my flashes, she's talking to like the mother of the groom. And
She's treating it like it's her own wedding, but she's not overstepping
yes,
the lead.
exactly.
That's the
So I
way to
was
be a good
very
second shooter,
comfortable
for
working
sure.
with her
Yeah.
because of that. And so there's pros and cons, and
Yeah.
I think, if you, there's just pros and cons to everybody, but there are other
Yeah.
people I will never hire again.
Yeah, there are other people you'll never
Well,
work
that's
with
the
again. and
thing
it's-
is like
Yeah.
when I post now, and we're in it. When I'm talking to my clients, and I'm like, hey, like your package. Well, now all of them have second shooters. But the majority of them are with you, and I'm able to say, you've probably seen her before. Her name's Haley.
Yeah.
She's got red hair. They instantly know.
Right.
So when you're walking in with me to a wedding, they not
That's
only
a double
know
confidence
me,
level.
Yeah.
but
for the
they
couple.
also at least know of you. They know
Yeah.
what you look like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
might
very-
be
That
on
can be
your
a really big
page to
thing.
be able to have the confidence of like, it's not just some random person that is with my photographer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a double confidence level. When you know your people,
Yeah.
and I give that confidence level when I see it to my couples in our planning meetings. I'm like, "Who's your photographer?" And they'll be like, "Oh, it's Caitlin and Mitch." And I'm like, "Dude, I love Caitlin and Mitch. Oh my God, they're the best to work
And you're
with.
like,
They're
today's
so
gonna be
easy."
such a good
Yeah.
They're like,
day.
"Oh yeah, it's Dirk's
Yeah.
works." I'm
And
like,
then you
"Oh, okay,
get
I'll shoot with Ben. I'll
excited.
shoot with
Yeah.
Ben anytime." I love you, Ben, by the way. Ben has so many photos on my Instagram.
We're
like,
only name
my-
dropping
yeah.
people that we like.
That we
Absolutely.
like.
Duh. But, like every single time I work with them, I know I'm gonna get a good. Like I
Yeah.
know like we're gonna have a good energy. We're gonna work well
Connecting
together.
with the vendors.
I know I'm gonna get good photos from my Instagram. Makes me
Yeah.
turn on the performance a little bit more. I used to have. So I work for a different company now. But like when I was freelance as a DJ for weddings specifically, I would give. I had my own preferred vendors list. And I would give discounts if they booked with my preferred vendors. Like, hey, your DJ is gonna be cheaper because it's worth $100, $200, whatever. For me, it's worth losing that money
To
to
have
work with
the
someone
good-
I know that I'm gonna
That's
get along.
how
Yeah.
I feel about
That's how important that vendor
I've
relation
really,
is.
because of you,
Yeah.
I've grown an appreciation for DJs so much. Can you not freaking tell when you're at a wedding
Oh, I got a story.
and they
I got a
have
story. I'm
such
interested.
a
I wanna-
crappy DJ? I think to myself, I knew my brother was good, and my dad, of course.
Yeah.
I knew they were good, but I think because I'm around them all the time, that's where my expectation level is. So I don't realize and have the epiphany until I'm at a wedding where the DJ is
Sucks.
just not as good.
Right.
And I'm like, the fact that, where were we? Was it with you? Somebody like would stop the music and making it, where was
Yes.
that?
Well, we can use.
Was that
Keep
with
it
you that I
vague.
was at? This was very recently. Somebody would stop the music,
He-
make an announcement,
I'll
and then
just say
start
he,
it
it's
again.
fine.
And I'm
Sure.
like,
Yes.
yeah.
So this same DJ.
Was it the same one?
Well, I could be thinking of something different. A previous
You all
wedding.
work on a lot of weddings. We're not doxing anybody by
I know.
saying you
No,
don't
it-
always
these-
work with the
I don't
best
think there's
DJs out
any
there.
way
They're
that
great
anybody would
stories,
know.
and
Yeah.
like
No,
it's
do it,
just
do it.
something.
You're good.
So, in order for the guests, I think it was to leave the ceremony into going into cocktail hour,
Mm-hmm.
he completely stopped the music
Killer.
That's
Hate that.
right.
in order to go into cocktail
To
hour.
move to those
right.
This is somebody that
Yes.
said that he was in the business for 20 years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you weren't here.
Yeah.
So it was during the reception, she had already left. This was a story I was going to tell.
Okay, go for it.
Okay.
And, I'm trying to make a connection and talk to him. So I'm talking to him. I'm asking him about his life and things like that. And
Maybe don't
I said,
say
no, it's
It's okay.
fine.
You're
It's
good. Just trust me.
fine.
Keep going.
Okay.
He says that he mixes, right? And that he's
Yeah.
not just playing a playlist. And
Yeah.
I can tell he is not
Mixing.
mixing.
Yeah.
But he has his whole setup. So I can
But
see
you
that he
can
can
tell
mix.
because of Zach.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can tell because of him and other previous ones
DJs
too.
you've
You
worked
can
with?
just
Yeah.
You can
see
tell.
it too if they're just sitting in their chair and pressing play. Like you're not doing
Right.
anything.
You're not actually doing the job.
So it's the reception, and I'm only there for 20 more minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And for myself, I just didn't feel like I got any good shots.
Mm-hmm.
And he finally plays Love Story by Taylor Swift, and the whole trend goes down, last year when the groom would kneel on
Yeah,
Marry
yeah.
Me Juliet, right?
that.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there, literally on his phone as this song is playing. And I'm like,
I hate that
what
so
am I
much. I
supposed
really
to
do.
do?
Yeah.
So one of the groomsmen and his girlfriend were partying it up on the dance floor. I even went over to them. I told them, hey, this whole reception is of you two. Thank you so much. I love
your
it.
wedding day now, by the way.
So
Yeah.
I knew who to go to when this
Right.
song plays. And I'm like, I want to get this shot. So I ran over to the two of them. And I'm like, can you please have me help all the guests form a huge circle around the couple so that
Yeah.
he can get down? Because nobody was near the two of them.
So the groom was on his phone, just like
No. The DJ was on
Okay,
his
got
phone.
it,
So
got
he's
it.
not getting anybody together.
not
So
making
this-
the energy happen, not
Yes.
bringing the
Yes,
energy
and
to
when
the
you've been-
Especially for
God,
this
it's
It's not
song.
that
That's
it's
such
bad,
a trend.
But when you've been spoiled by one, like you're
I'm like, I know what can
I
happen.
know what can happen. So nobody else might have
Right.
noticed.
Right.
Yeah.
So I run over to the groomsman and his girlfriend, and I'm like, help me form a huge circle with the guests around the couple. So we're running around. I'm like, I want to get this shot. So finally, you know, the song plays and it's Marry Me, Juliet. He gets down. So my photo's the couple in the middle, all the guests in a huge
I did
circle.
see some of those. They look
And
really
the groom
good.
turns around and he points at me and he goes, this was you? Like, your fault?
You set this up?
Yeah.
He said your fault because they were just, I don't know, on the quieter
They're-
side.
Yeah, but he
And
was
I
smiling.
said-
You said.
He was so floored. He was, he was so excited.
And wasn't it? We had them do a pose earlier in the day, and he used
Yes,
that pose,
yes, he
and he
used
said
the
thank you
pose.
because Sydney had him learn how to lift.
So
earlier
in my
the
mind,
day.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that this DJ is watching me do this whole thing happen for him, and I'm
Creating
like,
the
look
energy,
over,
creating
he's
the
not even
energy.
looking.
and I
and
love when a
run
photographer does
over.
that.
I run over in such excitement after. I'm like, thank you for playing that song. He looks up. He's like, what? And I'm like,
oh my god!
did you not see what I just did on the whole dance floor?
Because you're thinking, I got people on,
On the
dance
floor.
floor which
And I,
is
like I
your
said, I was
job.
only there for 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
And I stayed there, packed up my bag. The whole rest of the time that I wasn't shooting, packing up my bag, everybody stayed on that dance floor.
Yes.
The rest of the
And you
time.
knew it was because
And
of
I
you.
knew it was because
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
of
not
me.
going to
And
go
I
down this
will
rabbit
take the
hole
credit
because
for that because I was genuinely
fantastic.
excited for the DJ to actually have people to
Yeah, I love that. I will not go down this
You'll
rabbit
be a
hole.
DJ next
But-
year.
I might have
But
overshared.
DJing, no, you're good,
Oh,
you're
it's
good.
okay.
But like DJing is not just about playing music; it's about creating energy on the dance floor. It is not a performance of the DJ, and it is not a playlist of the DJ. It is an entertainer being there to create the space, whatever. And if your DJ is not doing that, then
Yeah,
yes.
and-
But thank you for doing that for that couple's sake.
Sydney's like, I
that's what
think
you
I
need to be
found my
doing.
new passion. I got way too excited about that.
You don't need to
I mean,
be a
that
DJ
was
to bring energy
actually
to the dance
so
floor, though.
fun.
Isn't it,
though? Like,
yeah.
I was running over to everybody. I'm like, come on, we're going to form a
Yeah.
whole circle. We're going to
Yeah.
do this
Yeah.
whole thing. And it got everybody, excited.
Honestly,
Yeah.
when you have a good DJ, it makes, as a photographer, it turns you from dreading every moment of the reception and looking at the clock until you get to leave
Yeah.
to, I mean, that one we shot back in September.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And
Yeah,
maybe
their
it
energy
was,
was
and
great.
maybe it was the couple in the entire party.
Yeah.
They gave. I remember trying to
A full show.
because we had a triple header weekend, and so I remember I'm behind
and I was
the
30
booth.
weeks pregnant.
Yeah, and you're well. No,
No, I
you
was
weren't
30.
there. You
No,
weren't at
that
this one.
triple head. No, that
During
same
the triple
triple
header
header.
because you guys
Yes,
shot together
that was
later
the
that weekend
first
too.
one. Oh, yeah, sorry,
You
I
had a
wasn't at
triple
that
header,
wedding.
We finished it together.
Yeah.
But I'm at this wedding and
I was not there.
I'm behind the DJ booth. I always appreciate it when Zach lets me go back in there. I'm importing footage because I knew I was going to be up late doing this. So if I could get the first part of the day imported before I go home, I can go right to bed.
So you're ingesting some cards.
And I
then,
normally always have time to do something like this. No, this couple and Zach, they had, I mean, every 5 seconds I would go, surely they are not doing anything
Yeah.
else. And so, because they just did something iconic.
Yeah.
How many iconic things can
Dude,
you
coming
do?
behind the DJ booth, full like
I-
lap dance on the dance floor,
Oh my
sit
gosh.
thing. It was crazy. It was so
Zach,
much fun.
I delivered
honestly,
more from
they
the
surprised
reception.
me at that wedding.
They surprised
They
you.
surprised me at that
They
wedding because
were
I had
amazing.
things planned to create energy on the dance floor and have some fun and bring it behind the DJ booth, let him put the headphones on, the normal stuff, right? Dude, they surprised the hell out of me because he came around the corner with a Napoleon Dynamite wig on and just started like partying. And I was like, bro, where did this come from? He was like a very docile guy before that moment. And I went, what, bro? I was not
Honestly,
expecting
Zach,
this.
because of
It was great. It
the
was so much
storms
fun.
that came in as a photographer, I was struggling to get
You were thinking you weren't going to get anything good.
a full album because of the storms and the wind and the rain.
It was really rainy that
and
day. It was
I'm
disgusting.
like, I delivered.
And cold.
I don't even want to know. I don't remember the number, but there were more reception photos that didn't just look like a bunch of people standing on the
right,
dance
they
floor.
weren't
Yeah.
repetitive
Every
either.
single
Yes.
one of them was different. it was the best, I think, set of reception photos I've ever delivered. And I was more excited to edit the reception than I was to edit anything else because I was smiling the whole time because of how fun that wedding was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank goodness that the party was as fun as it was. Otherwise, it would have just been me watching the clock.
Truthfully,
Especially
no matter
with
how
rain,
great the rest of the day is, I want the rest of the day to be fantastic. My goal as a DJ is like make that dance floor reception better than anything else that happened the whole rest of the day.
It was so
That's my
fun.
personal goal. But
It was great.
No, I love that though. I mean, you got to bring the energy wherever you can get it. And as a photographer, when your DJ is doing a good job, then great. You go out there and you capture the energy that's there, right? But if they're not, taking that role on and being willing to step in is that next level, because your job isn't squeezing the trigger on the camera.
Right.
Your job is capturing amazing moments. And if you have to create that amazing moment to go capture it, then create that moment. That's what it is.
Right.
I mean, that's what that's what your studio shoots are.
That's
You're
true.
getting people will photograph well, in outfits they look good in lighting that is the most
By the way,
ideal
we need
lighting
to
you
set
can
it on
possibly
video.
get.
Yeah.
And then you do props and scenes and sets and you line it because you want those good photos, so you create the environment for those good photos. Same thing happens at a wedding. If you are on the dance floor, if you have bad weather outside, whatever, and the DJ's just sitting behind the booth on his phone not doing anything, or like not
Well, I
mixing,
felt
not
bad.
doing
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Stop
bring
talking
the
about
I
energy.
felt bad for the couple too. I'm like,
Yeah.
I hate it
Yeah.
when people do that. I hate
Yeah.
it. That is why
it
when
wasn't
everybody
even
comes up
for
and
the
they're like,
photos.
I am
Like,
a DJ.
I'm gonna go above and beyond. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make it fun for them.
I
Yeah.
will say their
And-
day was a beautiful day though.
Oh,
they
yeah,
had
it
a
was great.
really fully pleasant
Yeah.
from beginning to end. It was just a pleasant day.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's
Breeze.
pros and cons. I think a lot of people, unless they've had a really hype party or they're party people, just don't have an appreciation for it until they are not in that environment. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
want to go.
But
home.
the goal is you want to give somebody such a great experience. Like, and this is what I feel like I have thoroughly done this for the two of you. I want to be such a good DJ that I ruin every other DJ for other people. I want
Yeah.
every wedding you go to from here on, I want you to go, yeah, the DJ was good, but he wasn't that good.
It
You know,
wasn't-
like he wasn't
good.
that good. That's I tell my couples that too. I go, hey guys, I want you to have such an amazing wedding that every wedding your guests go to from here on out sucks by comparison. Like I want to ruin weddings for
And
everyone.
I will say, it's easy for me because you're my brother,
Yeah.
to say that, but it's true. It's,
Well,
I mean, would you say
genuine.
it's true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, and that's
the
what I
only
say this because
complaints I've
yes,
ever had is my eardrums hurt when I leave. I'm like, Zach, is there
You
a
know,
way,
that's
please,
I'm not
so
apologizing
funny.
for that.
Please,
So
my
he
eardrums.
not
Yeah.
that he didn't shoot. You DJ'd, you MC'd at my grandparents'
Yes.
anniversary.
Yeah, they had a
In
50th
my
anniversary.
I don't
Were
know.
your
Was it
ears
their
I think it was their
50th?
50th wedding anniversary.
in my
In the
grandparents'
backyard. I brought some music. I
He
did a
brought
little
his
MC work.
the lights,
the
the
coolest
set.
grandparents.
But it's
set.
in my grandparents.
I want you to know I love your grandparents so
backyard.
much.
Oh,
They're
great.
fantastic. I love them.
But was it my mom or was it my grandma? One of the two of them came over to Zach and
Yeah.
was like, "Hey,
Can you turn
you're
it
doing
down?
a great job."
just turn it down a little
But
bit.
it's like past 8 p.m. and our neighbors are asleep.
we're in their suburban backyard neighborhood, and I'm bumping music. Yeah, no
Or-
regrets.
I
Hey,
think
for a
it's just-
50th anniversary though,
Yeah.
I don't even
It was
know
a-
why
dude,
they
it was such a
had
fun party.
somebody,
Yeah.
but it was
It's a big
actually
accomplishment.
actually
I
pretty
say-
It was
good.
actually pretty good. I like
that
that.
is-
Yeah.
but
But
the
that
fact
was
that-
too funny though.
Yeah,
It's
the
just like,
fact that that's my
our
only
neighbors are
complaint,
asleep.
you know?
No complaint. Yeah,
Yeah.
no regrets on my end. If your only
Yeah.
complaint is, man,
That
that
you're
DJ,
too loud.
he was really good. My ears are ringing now.
I will say that is
That's great.
something, as I'm getting older, I'm like, Zach, I'm going to need a hearing aid, please.
You're like, I'm in my 30s.
He
Please
says
stop.
to me,
Yeah.
well, you know, you could get like earplugs. I went,
Yeah.
what about the guests? These poor guests. I'm like, please.
Because here's the thing, secretly, I want them going home and not being able to go to sleep because of the ringing in their ears
No,
because of how
don't.
much
But
fun
have you
they
ever
have.
actually
Drive
had somebody
home.
besides my mom or my grandma say to turn
Yes,
down your
I
music?
think so.
From time to time, I get it's pretty loud, and I go,
Every time
yes,
I'm
it
at
is.
one- no, every
That's the
time
point.
I'm at one with
Yeah.
Zach. No, we did one in
That's
January.
too funny.
I was with, no.
You were with Dad.
Yes,
in
okay, it
January.
wasn't Zach,
Yeah.
but it all
Our
feels the
dad-
same because
Oh.
he's just
Previous
as loud.
episode, you can watch the episode here.
Yeah.
Click that link.
He's just as loud. My ears, we go outside for the.
No, Dad's louder than
send-off.
I am. Dad's
Okay, yeah.
he
He's
runs his
louder.
rig. You run your rig way louder than I am, Pops. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe he's got
Look at
hearing
you.
loss from how long he's been doing this.
In the most humble way, Dad has been blacklisted from a
Amazing DJ.
venue for being too loud. He is there is a venue he's not allowed to go to because he's been too loud.
horrible.
No, it's a
though,
real thing.
that's the only complaint.
Yeah.
But we go outside to do
Oh
the
my
send-off,
gosh.
and I am trying to orchestrate all these people lining up for this send-off, and I'm screaming because I can't hear my own voice. And then the whole drive home, my fingers are in my ears, and I'm checking for blood. The whole drive home. And I was like, I have literal hearing loss from this. But that was so much fun.
That's why I wear filter plugs.
See, if you have to wear that's why
yeah.
they can't hear
They're
it.
not earplugs.
That's why they can't hear it.
filter plugs because it cuts down on the dB to protect my hearing because I do this professionally.
you matter.
Because I do this over like 40
Zach
times
matters,
a
but
year,
the
dude.
guests do not.
I do this like over 40 times a year. I need to protect my hearing a little bit.
But again, it was
Yeah.
really fun. It was really
But
fun.
did you have fun? And that's
yeah.
what matters. Guess
Oh, yeah.
what? That's a real YOLO mentality.
I would have
That's
had a
real, like,
little more fun
I'm
if my
young and
ears
dumb
were-
and free right now. And yes, my hearing will be shot in my 50s. But it's fun now. So
It was fun. It's
Only
like a
live
club.
once.
It's literally
Yes,
like a
that's
club.
it.
Yeah.
No, I like that though. Well, and it's it's you know when a DJ is just bringing good energy, because if another DJ was mixing poorly and that loud, you'd be like, this sucks.
Yeah.
This sucked all the way around.
I'd say I didn't have any fun. It
Yeah.
wasn't worth it.
But if you had fun and you're like, my ears are ringing is my one complaint, but I had a great time, I'm
Yeah.
good with that. I'm okay with that. But well, yeah. We're gonna wrap this YouTube exclusive episode here, or this primary podcast. If you want to check out the rest of the conversation, we're going to have a little post-game chat, if you will. You can check that on my Patreon. It's Patreon.
Get the tea.
It's a little bit more
Patreon.com/ZMessina.
tea.
You can also check it out at zmessina.com. That's the way to see the rest of this conversation we're about to have after this. But guys, thanks so much for being on here. Here's our plugs. If you want to check out Haley or Sydney on Instagram, is the best place to probably get to you too,
Are you
right?
placing the plugs?
Yes, I'm gonna put your handles down below. But Haley, your photography is at Haley McGuire Photography, right? And then Sydney, you had
Sydney
two
Grace
different ones.
_photographs. My other one was hacked.
Yes,
Don't
yes.
use
So
the
that's
other
She
why
had to pick
at
Photographs,
Sydney Grace
not photography.
_photographs. Right,
Yeah, and
fantastic.
the
I'm gonna put that right
spelling
there.
of Haley is just
HALEY.
the most basic form.
It's down.
This is more simplistic. Yeah, I did put it right there. I did
Oh.
put it on the screen right there.
In front of my water bottle.
That's the one.
right.
Anyway, that, and then you can check me out, obviously, at zmessina.com and at zmessina on all social media platforms, so you can check me out there. If you want to see the rest of the conversation, head on over to the Patreon. You can see me over there. That's how we're going to do this. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you in the next episode.